introduced changes to the growing technology industry. So maybe it's worth starting from your story, from the company. Probably 95% of our listeners from the tech industry know you and know what Clutch is doing, but we have diverse community, we have nonprofits, we have change makers. So I encourage you to share with us what actually Clutch is, how you started Clutch, and how the world, a person who is so much interested in making the world a better place, a person who graduated from international relations, found himself a couple of years later in a position of the owner of such an impactful company, shaping how tech companies around the world work, find partners, and establish collaborations.
Well, again, thanks, Jacek. Again, a lovely intro. So for those of you that don't know Clutch, we are a platform to connect buyers of B2B services, so largely IT, digital marketing services, with service providers that provide those services. And the origin story is, I think, a lot like a lot of other companies. I started Clutch, which was back in the early years, called Sourcing Line, to scratch my own itch. I had been working on what ended up becoming an ill-fated project. We didn't get a ton of success, but through that, I tried to find a full-service IT firm that I could afford, and that I was bootstrapping this project. And so I went through the process of finding a IT service provider, and it ended up being in India, about a 150 person firm that could do a range of activities. And I experienced the challenge in doing that. There was practically no content, and certainly no really trustworthy content on the internet at that point in time. And so the thought was, as it became clear that first project wasn't going to pan out, that there was a real opportunity here to build something that helped service providers connect with buyers around the globe, and was sort of tailored to their needs. Voila, that was a little over a decade ago, and we've been working hard at it ever since.
Wonderful. So what you're saying is that you actually were trying to solve your own problem, right? And at that moment in time, it wasn't easy to find a service provider that is owned by indigenous communities, but it was hard to find any service providers that are worth your trust. That's a wonderful story. So we are here 10 years ago. We know that right now Clutch is visited by over 1 million buyers monthly. So it's really global platform, shaping how people are selling and buying services in the world. And from my perspective, Clutch has been hugely successful, not only from the business perspective, but from my lens of social impact perspective. And that might not be very intuitive to some of the listeners, but Clutch in its essence is improving the world. So Mike, I know that you can tell hundreds of stories of small company owners whose lives were changed because of the service you provide. But maybe you can tell us a little bit about, what kind of social impact do you see at Clutch? Like what's changing thanks to what you do, and around the world, like what's the impact of your work?
Yeah, well, I guess it really comes at a couple different levels, right? And a lot of marketplaces do this, but we're focused on small and mid-sized businesses, both on the buyer side and the service provider side. So if you think about like I was an entrepreneur that was had a pretty limited budget. I didn't have VC backing. We open up the opportunity, or provide the content and reviews and information on service providers so that you can hire someone that you can afford, So we're helping small businesses on the buyer side, and then if you think on the service provider side, our typical service provider is anywhere from a handful of employees all the way up to a few hundred. We've got some firms that are over 1,000, and we're helping them grow and helping them create jobs. And it's not just here in the United States. We're helping create jobs in Canada and Latin America, in Europe, right, in Poland where you are, in Ukraine, in India, and a number of other places. And we hear stories of the impact that we've made on companies that came to us when they were 10, 15 people and now employ hundreds in developing economies, and that's hundreds of employees that can support their families. And so it's been a real joy to experience that through the growth curve of Clutch.
Yeah, I can fully empathize with this. Prior to my Tech to the Rescue story, in my previous professional adventure, I used to own a small service provider. We were building gamified apps for nonprofits, and I remember that day when we managed to secure the first big deal with a client from other country. How impactful that was on me, on my team, on everyone else. And I imagine how Clutch helps entrepreneurs around the world to get this first deal, then the second deal, then the next deals, and how this could contribute the local community around them. But also, I'm not sure if you are aware of that, but there's increasingly lots and lots real serious scientific research that is showing the impact of similar initiatives. So there is this great book, and that was published last year by Bjorn Lomborg, one of the most interesting and controversial thinkers in the social impact space. And the book is called The Best Things First. And in the book, Bjorn actually makes the thesis that, well, as a humanity, as a civilization, we are way behind the SDGs, so Sustainable Development Goals, that we would need to invest 10, 12 trillion more dollars each year to actually meet the goals. So maybe one of the things that we might do as a community of global makers, doers, is to actually prioritize interventions that have the biggest return on investment. And one of them, and there's 12 in the book, is the intervention focused at increasing global trade. So what Bjorn actually suggests is that global free trade has already lifted over 1 billion people out of the poverty in the past 25 years. I'm curious, how what's the contribution of Clutch in this 1 billion people? Probably we will never know, but for sure it's not small. Actually, the researchers behind the report that is cited in the book from the Copenhagen Consensus Center, they estimate that if we focus as a civilization on increasing the free trade globally, that could lead to additionally, 11 trillion of dollars increase in global wealth by 2030. So that might be huge. And I think that platforms like Clutch or other similar platforms that are connecting buyers from maybe more developed economies with providers from smaller economies, they make huge role in how we take the world forward into the better place. Okay, but that's connected to your business model. That's connected to what you do. I heard so many entrepreneurs over my life saying, yeah, we won't do social impact initiatives because we have one most important thing that we do. We follow our clients' needs. So if they don't say they want more impact, we won't do it because this is our job to follow their needs. And I know that, besides from what you do when it comes to connecting buyers and providers, you also experiment a lot in making sure that your platform, which is serving 1 million people monthly, is somehow pushing them into other direction, right? Somehow helping them make more sustainable, better decisions. Can you tell a bit more about this, like about why do you do it? What do you specifically do? And what's the impact that you see?
Sure. So And I don't want to suggest that we don't have some market pull here, because we do, but we have taken different lenses on how we organize service providers and make them findable to buyers. And over the last few years, we've rolled out a lot of content to help buyers that want to, maybe they want to work with a woman-owned company or a veteran-owned company, black-owned. There's a long list of what we've rolled out, and we've seen demand for that. So I don't want to say it's pure altruism. I think there's real demand from the buyer community to try and find service providers with different sets of attributes. And so we've been somewhat proactive and somewhat responding to what buyers want to see.
Yeah. So what you actually do is, I've seen on the platform today, and I mentioned this in the opening story, that any buyer can actually find a company having some specific properties, like owned by veterans, owned by women, owned by indigenous communities. This is one thing. Second thing, I think it's important in shaping how the market looks like. Like, there's this key feature of Clutch. I think it was one of your competitive advantages in the early beginning, that you can actually rate the provider, right? At first, I remember 5-7 years ago, some of the companies had 2 reviews, 3 reviews. It seemed like very long shot, but right now most of the companies have like dozens or hundreds of those reviews. So I think of you also as a company that is proactively introducing new standards to the market. Having such scale lets you actually design and influence how the market will grow over time. Can you maybe share a little bit about your vision, where you think the service business might be in a couple of years, or where you would like to see the service business in the next couple of years?
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if I have a crystal ball, but there's a number of things, like you've hit on the reviews that we do, and when you think about a small business, say in the U.S., hiring another small business, even locally, right? Having some social proof that you're confident in, and so deep reviews to understand the skills and competencies, super important when you're spending tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars with that service provider. So reviews, when we started the company, online reviews were not something new, right? They've been around for at least 15 years. But in our sector, there were none. And so that was in some ways a simple innovation, the way we did that. We did it in a unique way to pull out as much information as possible. And so, that helps connect buyers and service providers locally, but it also, if you think about even within the same country in a different region, or you're talking about working with a service provider in a different country, maybe in an unfamiliar culture, the social proof of reviews, of being able to read about buyers like you that had really great experiences with a service provider in a geography that you may not be familiar with. It really helps build that level of comfort and drive global trade, which and there's been a lot of research that indicates that not only is it a great way to meet global goals and raise folks out of difficult economic situations, but that trading and working with people around the globe it builds ties that I believe can reduce the potential for conflict over time. So I think we're just a tiny part of it, but we're helping, which is I don't know. It's thrilling to me that we've started a for-profit company. I want to be clear that we are capitalists running this company, but that we can have a um, a big positive impact.
So you say that not only we help get people out of the poverty through connecting them to potential clients or partners from other countries, but we can also avoid serious conflicts. And this is really refreshing thought I haven't had before. I think we have an interesting benchmark for that in Europe, and it's called the Erasmus program. I'm not sure if you have heard about this, but basically students in Europe can choose a university in another country to go to for half a year or a year. And the whole generation of students traveled in different countries, learning new cultures, learning people. And I think this is one of the key driving forces behind the Europe strength right now, right? Because if you meet people, if you learn their culture, it opens you, and also it builds empathy. And also at Tech to the Rescue, I have some of the beautiful stories how we were connecting tech companies and nonprofits from different parts of the world. There's one super memory that I have. It was, I think, in our first year, we were looking for a company to support a nonprofit from Nicaragua that was working on solving cervical cancer there. And one company from Pakistan actually volunteered for the project. And we organized the call. We call it a matching meeting. And we had people from Poland, from the US, because some of the US entrepreneurs were supporting the organization from Nicaragua, people from Nicaragua, and people from Pakistan. And after 10 minutes of early discussions about the project, the company, some round of introductions, people in Pakistan in the office started praying. And it was so loud, they were singing Muslim songs. It was so loud and so noisy that we actually had to stop the call for 5 minutes before it went, quiet enough to continue the conversation. That was the moment that was aha moment for me as Tech to the Rescue CEO, that we can actually connect people from different parts of the world. And through the beauty of technology, we can open them up for collaborating and solving problems on the other part of the world. So I again empathize with what you said.
Yeah,
And
that's
maybe
a lovely story. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall there and experienced it.
yeah, Mike, I think maybe, have you participated in many conversations between buyers and providers that you facilitate through the platform? Are those similar experiences to what we might experience at Tech to the Rescue?
Yeah, I at this point in the company, I'm not specifically personally participating in those conversations, but I hear about a lot of them, and yeah, it's lovely to see. Well, it's obviously the main goal here is that we're trying to help buyers and sellers trade, meet business goals, but the human stories are sort of icing on top of the cake, and yeah, they're lovely.
Yeah, actually, this story reminded me of the trajectory of this company. This company right now is like, when we had this call, they were around 100 people. I know they're active member of Clutch, and right now, as far as I know, they employ 100 people. And the project they developed for the Lily project, the organization from Nicaragua, it helped them actually build bonds with the company from the US. The advisors, I know they are right now working together closely on the strategic level, and they are finding partners together and clients together. So those initiatives can help companies grow. And this makes me ask you about the pro bono engagement, how the companies can leverage their talent and skills to do social good, how we might make sure that more and more of those touching stories of people from different parts of the world collaborate. How can we make it happen? So do you think, Mike, that the service providers actually have access, opportunity, or possibility to do those projects, do you think it's a good moment for them to think about altruistic will? And if it's possible to actually connect the altruistic will, the engagement in social impact initiatives, with helping companies grow and improve the lives of many people locally?
I do. I mean, and I think we have examples of it, and you have examples of it that there is the obviously the altruistic side, but I think there are some very practical business benefits, right? If there are if you're a service provider and you've got resources, we for those of us in the industry we call it on the bench, right? That resources that aren't on paid engagements, those folks, generally speaking, want to be working on something and fine tuning their skills and building them, and and you can target specific types of projects or skills with the not-for-profits, and both keep your teammates busy building their skills, and then also building case studies for marketing your company later, right? That if you've delivered back to this example of the app for the team working on cervical cancer in Nicaragua, that can be a great case study to lead to future sort of for-profit work, if you will. So I think there's all sorts of benefits.
Yeah. Also, I think we see as a global community that more and more individual customers care about buying products that are sustainable.
Mhm.
Would you say that you can observe as Clutch a similar trajectory happening in the B2B space? Do you think buyers are more and more interested in working with tech companies that have some positive social impact footprint?
I believe so. I mean, do we have, can I quote some specific data right now? Probably not. But I think this is a broad trend. People are, generally speaking, being more thoughtful about what they buy in their consumer lives, and we see in a lot of different ways that people bring their consumer behavior to the office, and and start to make business decisions and based on consumer behavior. And in some ways, Clutch is an outcome of that, right? That online search has been a consumer behavior for decades, and the business environment is just catching up. And so I think the same can happen with people being more thoughtful in their personal and consumer lives, and having that roll over into making procurement decisions at work.
Yeah. Also, I think that there are multiple stakeholders that businesses need to take care about, and one of them are employees, right? And there's whole new generation, or maybe two new generations entering business offices with a little bit different expectations from the employers. So what we see in Poland, I think I'm talking for me, myself, my friends, is that more and more young people want to have purposeful work. uh, I know there are some theories about half-life crisis. I've seen so many of my friends having quarter-life crisis after graduating university, thinking about themselves, what's next? Like, will I work for some capitalistic company that squeezes the lemon like day over day, right? Like, is this something I want to do? And I'm curious, like, do you see similar patterns happening in Washington DC, working with the Clutch team? Do you think people expect to do purposeful work in the workplace? Is there push from the employer and employee and talent side to do more social impact work?
Yeah, I think there is. I mean, it's certainly a trend in the U.S. as well as what you're seeing in Poland, and doing pro bono work in IT services is something that I think a vast majority of employees at these services firms are going to really get excited about. I know our team gets excited about um, uh, particular projects that we do on Clutch, and then also community events that we do here in DC as well. So, I do think it's a big plus.
Yeah, that's great. That sounds like different sector shaping forces are for the social impact favor.
Mm-hmm.
We need to accelerate the work of social impact organizations. Technology is crucial for them to be able to meet their goals, to accelerate their impact. So, Mike, like the question is, you run the world's some of the world's most impactful companies shaping the tech industry. What can we do together as Tech to the Rescue and Clutch to actually help accelerate the movement, help tech companies discover how social impact initiatives may grow their company culture, may influence their relationship with buyers and clients? Like what's possible, how to work systemically to shape the market?
Yeah. So, and I guess this is the point where we introduce what we're doing together.
Why not?
Let's go for it. So, Clutch is working with Tech to the Rescue here to provide a way for service providers on our platform to indicate that they are open to pro bono or even low bono projects, and then we're going to be rolling out ways that not-for-profits can find those service providers on Clutch. And we're excited to do this. As a lot of people know, that doing pro bono work is a norm in the legal industry, in legal services, and it has been for decades. And it is weaved through professional development and how firms are structured, and just the norms of that industry. And we're thrilled to help Tech to the Rescue. We didn't we at Clutch didn't come up with this. This is something that Tech to the Rescue has been driving, and we're just excited to help where we can in making that happen, and trying to drive a transformation in particular in IT services, but beyond that, in marketing and other segments.
And I must say that I couldn't be more excited about this. I think there are so many great people in tech industry, not only in the tech industry, but basically in the services industry, right? Yeah, if you work for branding agency, marketing agency, software development agency, probably you are a creative person. Probably you want to do something purposeful. Probably you're rather young, right? You are a millennial or Gen Z. You want to have a positive impact of your life on other people. And sometimes employers can see this need, but this is not the top of priority. How can I help my employees exercise their social impact needs? And I think this small change on the Clutch platform, change of letting the companies express their willingness to do pro bono work, the fact that the companies will have a small nudge to answer a question, do I really want to do it, might bring thousands of people, or maybe dozens of thousands of people, to the social impact work. And I'm super excited that Clutch wants to partner with us on this journey. We created a fancy name for this partnership. We call it Tech Ecosystem Partnership. And I hope this is first very impactful partnership that Tech to the Rescue does with the forces shaping the industry. And I believe Clutch is shaping the industry. So maybe, Mike, well, you mentioned the legal market and the standard. You probably watched the TV series about lawyers, right? The Suits. Have you watched it?
Years ago, I think I may have seen some of it when it first came out.
Do you remember that Mike, one of the main characters, was engaging in at least one pro bono case in every season of the series?
I don't remember that, but my memory's not great, and this was I think I watched it quite a while ago.
Yeah, you need to trust me. I watched the series similarly to the hundreds of millions of other people, and I think this is the place where we can aspire to be. If we make pro bono mainstream, if it's in the culture, if it's part of the way how people think about their job, about what they do at work, about the opportunities they have at work, I think we can really long-lastingly shape how available tech talent is to nonprofits and how organizations can make impact. So maybe we can make a wish for the future of both Clutch and both social impact and service providers collaborations. So I can make mine, but maybe I will ask you to do your wish first.
Well, I guess mine is pretty simple. Is that we can be. Look, this is a mission that you at Tech to the Rescue have been championing for a number of years, and it's a full-time effort. I just wish that we can be, a partner and help you in that journey, and that it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next year, but at some point here we have a similar sense and feeling and position for pro bono like there is in legal, and it would be absolutely monumental when you think about what law firms do if the vast majority of service providers are doing that. It would the impact would be off the charts, I would think. And so if we can play a small role in supporting you in this, that would be fantastic.
I agree. That for me is in the category of for sure will happen, but we are making wishes, right? So I think we can go for something more crazy.
Okay.
And my crazy would be, if the Suits, like the most popular series about lawyers, can have pro bono as part of the plot of the series, I think I can hope for reviving Silicon Valley series one day. And maybe we can do, the season 10, and the season 10 will be fully focused on the guys from Silicon Valley doing some impactful project with a nonprofit, saving some people's lives or improving them in a significant way. And I think that maybe, you and me can play some minor role just somewhere in episode 3.
That would be awesome. That would be real fun.
Yeah, let's try to make it happen. But in the meantime, I know that there's a question on LinkedIn. People are thinking how they might actually find companies that are open for pro bono work on Clutch. We work with thousands of nonprofits. They might be interested in finding companies. I know that you plan to roll out, or actually you rolled out already, the new listings, directories of companies, but maybe you can talk a little bit more how to find them and how to navigate through this change.
Yeah, I'll just say it's early days. We've collected some content via a sort of an end of year survey process on willingness to do low bono and pro bono work. We're going to be building in ways so that when you onboard and build a profile or update your profile, we haven't quite gotten there yet, where you can indicate it there. And then I think I saw a question flash across about identifying reviews and or portfolio items. I think we'll get to that too, because it's I think just like just like with a sort of a for-profit project, when a buyer is trying to find the right service provider, you're looking at examples of work that are relevant. And I think the same goes for pro bono and low bono. So we're just getting started. There's a lot more to come, and yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, so already, right, there some directories are there. So if some of the nonprofits are listening to us, you can try looking for the pro bono services directory of social media marketing agencies, pay-per-click agencies, branding agencies, web designers, SEO, web developers, app developers, and accounting companies. So it's already pretty big. It's already bigger than Tech to the Rescue. Tech to the Rescue is working mostly with tech, and I think this is really amazing that the fact that we found each other, the fact that we think in a similar ways about shaping the world, and the fact that we can build on top of each other makes it really exciting. And we see that Tech to the Rescue have never dreamed about influencing the marketing market, but through our collaboration, it already is. So happy to see that. I couldn't be more proud of what we do together and more excited about this. And Mike, I want to sincerely thank you for the Clutch's work, for how you are shaping the tech industries around the world, and for how you want to help us shape the social impact sector and make sure that tech talent, branding talent, creatives will be democratized, not only owned by tech companies, but also by organizations that are supporting people in need and people that are vulnerable. So thank you for this. And any closing words?
No, I'm thrilled that I've gotten to meet you and get to know you and get to know the mission and your teammates, and yeah, we're excited to to support you in this mission. So thrilled to do it.
It's a real pleasure so far. And listeners, if you know anyone who is behind the production of Silicon Valley series, you can make mine and Mike's wish come true. So let us know who should we talk to. Mike will already start thinking about the role he wants to play. I have my own in mind, but I will share maybe in the future once it happens. Thank you, Mike. It's been a pleasure. I'm excited for the future, and it's amazing to have you on board and Clutch as a partner.
Okay, thanks, Jacek.